The topic I was given for today was the significance of understanding the Quran. Uh, Pretty much unfortunate that I didn't get to present at a better time, but okay, let's start. You know, with the multitude of ideas that I have in my mind and so much information on this topic, I'm at a loss of words like where to start. I contemplated on this topic a lot, like I didn't sleep the previous night, I was like busy searching references and everything. And I decided upon this verse. Like Allah mentions the reason for sending down the Quran in this verse. كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ مُبَارَكًا لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ وَلِيَتَذَكَّرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. That this is a book. We have sent it down towards you. Mubarakan. It's a blessed book. لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ. So that the people, they ponder upon its verses. وَلِيَتَذَكَّرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. And so that people of understanding, they take advice. They take it as a reminder. Now, a very interesting point. Like, I had so many verses to choose from, and I chose this verse. Because it is so interesting in so many ways. Like, my topic was the significance of understanding the Quran. And this verse literally tells you why Allah sent down the Quran. كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ Mubarakan. It's a blessed book. Now, whenever we hear the word Mubarak, whenever we hear the word blessed, what kind of image comes in our mind? Something that should be revered, something like we should put it in a lofty place, something we should like wrap it in 1,000 coverings or something like that. That's the impression we get when we hear about something blessed. Like our notion of blessed is so convoluted, but look at what Allah mentions, that what is blessed, what is His notion of a blessed thing. Mubarakan liyadabbaru ayatihi. It's a blessed book, and we have sent it down liyadabbaru ayatihi, so that they ponder upon its verses. Now man, how can we ponder upon these verses when we don't even understand the simple translation of Arabic? Simple translation of what Allah has tried to say in this book. وَلِيَتَذَكَّرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. And so that the people of understanding, the people of wisdom, they take it as a reminder. And the second verse, which was a very close tie for me as the opening verse, was this. شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنُ هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. That شَهْرُ Ramadan is a month in which we have sent down the Quran. هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ. Now, whenever Allah mentions the Quran as a book, most of the time He calls it Hudan Linnas, a guidance for the people. But that's not how my people perceive it. Whenever I ask someone about the Quran, yeah, sure, I read it in the prayer. Yes, my mom recites it on some water or something like that. That's our notion of the Quran. But the Quran's notion of the Quran is something that we do not find. At least I don't find it in my society. That's the significance of understanding this Quran. That was the original purpose of sending down this book. ذَلِكَ هُدَى Allah mentions the Quran. Allah mentions this Quran as Hudallah, as the guidance of Allah, so many times in His book. ذَلِكَ هُدَى اللَّهِ يَهْدِي بِهِ مَن يَشَاءُ. That this Quran is the Huda of Allah. This Quran is the guidance of Allah that He has sent down. وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ. That we have sent this dhikr. Dhikr in Arabic is a reminder. It's something that reminds you, that gives you an advice. It's a word that means advice and reminder at the same time. Like, it's an advice that you should follow, and it reminds you of certain things. Now, what does the Quran remind you? Like, for example, if someone is saying, أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَعَلَّهُم يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Okay, when I recited this, beautiful voice, not praising myself, but anyways, that's what it reminds you of. What else does it remind you of? Man, Allah sent this book as a reminder, as to remind you of something. And I recite it in front of you, and it reminds you of nothing except some kari that you had heard somewhere, or maybe a melodious voice. Mine is not very good, but even the best voices, that's what they remind you of. That's not why Allah sent it down. ذِكْرَى لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ. It's a reminder so that you clarify for the people. What? أَنَّزِلَ إِلَيْهِمْ. What Allah sent down for you. Allah says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. That don't they ponder upon the Quran, or do they have locks upon their hearts? And man, wallahi, this is what we have got upon our hearts. Locks. Aqfal. The word qufl, lock. You know, our hearts are locked, they're chained. And Allah has mentioned this with the word am. You know, the word am in Arabic is something which is used as an alternative to the given option. Like, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Do they not ponder upon the Quran? Or do they have locks upon their heart? So one of these two things is inevitable. Either you should ponder, you do ponder upon the Quran, or the other inevitable conclusion of this verse, grammatically, linguistically, is that you have locks upon your heart. And man, if you have got locks upon your heart, that's something you should be worried about, right? And I kept upon very, you know, the Quran is so full of emotional verses that once you start understanding it, man, you can't undo it. You can't stop understanding it. And I came upon these verses and I thought it was a very good point to mention alongside the locks upon the hearts. Allah says, on the Day of Judgment, Allah will talk to the people in large. Of course, Allah will reveal Himself only to the believers, which is like the majority opinion of the scholars. But anyways, Allah will say to the disbelievers, قَدْ كَانَتْ آيَاتِي تُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ. My verses, they were recited upon you, in front of you. فَكُنْتُمْ عَلَىٰ أَعْقَابِكُمْ تَنْقِصُونَ. But you turned upon your heels. Now, turning upon the heels, it's an idiom in Arabic. Meaning, you turned away completely. My verses were recited upon you, but didn't budge you even an inch, even a tiny bit. مُسْتَكْبِرِينَ بِهِ سَامِرًا. That you were, this is kibr. That when you hear something, that's the truth, that's something you should follow. And your ego is so big that you, like, you know, many people think, okay, man, I'm a doctor now. I'm at this stage of life. I'm older than him. I'm this, I'm that. If I go and in a beginner's class and ask them to teach me Quran, you know, people will think, oh man, he's such an educated person that he doesn't know the beginning of the Quran. Man, the person who asks a question once is a fool for once. The person who doesn't ask a question is a fool for life. This is mustakbiran. This is that you know that you don't know, and you know that you have a chance of knowing, but your ego prevents you from learning. So man, none of us should be so big or so old or so important that they don't strive to learn what's right. It's never too late until you die. So you've got time, man. You still got time on your hand. Okay? Yes. Allah says, أَفَلَمْ يَدَّبَّرُوا الْقَوْلِ أَمْ جَاءَهُمْ مَا لَمْ يَأْتِ آبَاءُهُمُ الْأَوَّلِينَ. Allah mentions it as something that's an inevitable solution. أَفَلَمْ يَدَّبَّرُوا الْقَوْلِ. Do they not understand the saying? So, to Allah, it's something as easy as ABC. And not for Him. For Him, everything is as easy as ABC. As A, in fact. Kun fayakun. Okay? But is mentioning it with regards to us. Like with regards to us. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ. Allah has made the Quran easy to take as a reminder. Okay? So, Allah is mentioning it with respect to us. أَفَلَمْ يَدَّبَّرُوا الْقَوْلِ. Don't they ponder upon it? So it's something that's so easy to ponder upon, man, once you try to understand. Once you try to do so, it's very easy to ponder upon it. In fact, you cannot pass by a verse of the Quran without pondering upon it if you just understand what it means. If you just understand what it means. And you don't have to be a big scholar. You don't have to be a big mufassir of the Quran to be able to ponder upon it. In fact, it's the other way around. Pondering upon it will lead you to be a big scholar. It shows the sifa, the attribute of the believers when they listen to the Quran. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. That the believers, إنما, the word إنما in Arabic is used for hasr. It's used for specifying. It's used for enclosing something. Okay? So إنما المؤمنون, that the believers are only those إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. When Allah is mentioned, their hearts tremble. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. And when His verses are recited upon them, their faith increases. وَعَلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. And they have trust in the Lord. Now man, your verses are being recited upon us all the time, day and night. The question is, do our hearts tremble? Man, wallahi, most of the people I have met, they just vibe with the Quran. That's what they do. They vibe with it. They just feel, okay, it's melodious, it sounds nice, cool. That's it. That's the maximum we get from it. And we should be afraid. We should be scared of our faith, because Allah says that the believers are only those people. إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم. Allah has mentioned their hearts tremble. Do our hearts tremble? That's a question each and every one of us needs to ask themselves. And Allah says, قُلْ آمِنُوا بِهِ أَوْ لَا تُؤْمِنُوا. Say, you want to believe in it, believe in it. You don't want to believe in it, don't believe in it. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ إِذَا يُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ يَخِرُّونَ لِلْأَذْقَانِ سُجَّدًا. The people who were given knowledge before you, when the verses were recited upon them, they used to fall down in prostration. They used to fall down in sajda, crying, weeping. How many of us have shed a single tear when we heard the Quran? I mean, it's not logically possible for any one of us to shed a single tear if we don't even understand what this music means. I'm sorry to say so, but that's how we treat it. That's how we treat it. And Allah says, وَقَدْ آتَيْنَاكَ مِنْ لَدُنَّا ذِكْرًا. And Allah has done His job. وَقَدْ آتَيْنَاكَ مِنْ لَدُنَّا ذِكْرًا. That indeed we have given you from our side a reminder. مَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَحْمِلُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وِزْرًا. Whoever turns away from it, he will have a burden upon himself on the day of judgment. So Allah has sent this for you. It's for you to take it, to leave it. آمِنُوا بِهِ أَوْ لَا تُؤْمِنُوا. It's upon you, it's your choice. Okay? But وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَحْمِلُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وِزْرًا. Whoever turns away from it will have a burden upon him on the day of judgment. It's your choice to make. Allah says, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. The people who we have given the book, they do tilawat. And I'm for a reason I'm using the word tilawat here, because I'm going to elaborate on that word. Okay, so this is, they do tilawat of this book, haqqa tilawatihi, the way it has its right for tilawat to be done. Now, what does this word tilawat mean? The word tilawa has two meanings, and unfortunately most of us are only familiar with the first meaning, which is al-qira'atul murattala, the beautifully done qira'ah, the beautifully done recitation. That's the only meaning of tilawat that we know of. Most of us, the meaning of tilawat, you ask anyone what is tilawat, they say qira'at. So man, why does Arabic have two different words for it then? Qira'at is different from tilawat. Qira'at is reading, recitation. Okay? So, one meaning of the word tilawa is qira'ah. It's the reading of the Quran slowly, with understanding. And the other meaning is al-ittiba'. Al-ittiba', following it. And it's not something I'm making it up. Allah says in the Quran, وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا. In Surah Shams, I remember, as far as I think. وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا. And the moon, when it follows the sun. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا وَالنَّهَارِ. Okay, so Allah says, وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا. It's the same root, تَلَاهَا, that when it follows it. Okay, so the meaning of the word tilawa is not just qira'ah. It also means following it. And it's not something made up, it's something that's in the Quran. And it is narrated by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ. By that Lord, by that God, in whose hand is my life. إِنَّ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. That the haqq of tilawa, that the right of tilawa, that the right of this book is أَن يُحِلَّ حَلَالَهُ. That the halal of this book should be declared and practiced as halal. وَيُحَرِّمَ حَرَامَهُ. And its haram should be declared and practiced as haram. وَيَقْرَأُهُ كَمَا أَنزَلَهُ اللَّهُ. And he recites it the way Allah has sent it down. وَلَا يُحَرِّفَ الْكَلَامَ عَنْ مَوَاضِعِهِ. And that he should not abrogate the verses from their rightful positions. وَلَا يَتْأَوَّلْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا عَلَى غَيْرِ تَأْوِيلِ. And he should not misinterpret it to an interpretation that's not suiting of that verse. And once you do the tilawa, حَقَّ tilawati, the way it has the right for it to be done, the tilawa, for it to be recited and for it to be followed. Once you have recited it and followed it, the way it has its right to be recited and followed, Allah has glad tidings for you. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَنْفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيَةً يَرْجُونَ تِجَارَةً لَنْ تَبُورَ. That the people who do tilawah of this book of Allah, and they establish the prayer, and they spend from what we have given them in secrecy and in public, they hope for a tijara, for a transaction, لَن تَبُورَ, in which there will be no loss. لِيُوَفِّيَهُمْ أُجُورَهُمْ, so that Allah can give them their reward in full recompensation. وَيَزِيدُهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, and increase upon it from His own side. مِنْ فَضْلِهِ إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ شَكُورٌ. Indeed, He is most forgiving. He is most appreciative of anyone who's thankful. So man, this is the significance of the Quran. This is the significance of understanding it. This is the significance for which it was sent down, which we have sadly neglected and put behind our backs. We have given it the back aisle seat in our lives. And that was not the purpose it was sent for. And I would like to give a huge shout out to a friend of mine. Yesterday I was thinking about this speech and I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a junior of mine, by the way. So he said, I gave a glass of water to my brother, and I wish that he thanks me. I wish that he is thankful to me. So man, the God who sent this book down, do you think He doesn't want you to be thankful? That He doesn't want you to at least consider His message a little bit? So man, it's your choice, whatever you want to do with it. But Allah has mentioned, look, it's a very famous poem by an Arabic poet. I know his name, but I don't think it's conducive right now to mention. So he said that your free choice is like a poison. You can eat it or not eat it. You're completely free to do so. But you're not at all free of the consequences of your choice. Okay? So if you are ingesting poison, you should know that certain death awaits you. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَحْمِلُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وِزْرًا. Whoever turns away from it, he will have a burden upon it. And Allah says, those who do tilawat of it, who recite it and follow it, the way it has a right to be recited and followed, they hope for a transaction in which they will have no loss. So let us all hope for a transaction in which we have no loss.